What is up, YouTube? It's Ashtyn Phoenix. Welcome back to my channel where we are reborn, unbothered, and opinionated. Today we're going to be talking about the rise and fall of Rachel Zegler. Let's spark it up, risers. Today I thought I would do something a little bit different. We're going to drive into the controversy that is Rachel Zegler, from the start of her career to how she's ending so far in 2025. I feel like she was an overnight sensation turned controversy, and a lot of this unfortunately has to do with the PR mishaps of a lot of her interviews. And I think if she had some help in these interviews, she wouldn't be in the spot that she is in today. And if I were her, I would be hiding a little bit or working with the PR agency to try and come out from under the rock that I am hiding, because of how badly and how poorly her interviews have gone for Snow White. I will say, when I first saw her, let's rewind it a bit. We're going to go back to West Side Story, like a fairy tale, plucked from high school by the one and only Steven Spielberg to lead in West Side Story. You literally cannot receive anything greater than being picked by Steven Spielberg and handed this role on a platter. She was 17 years old and she was still in high school when she got this role. I remember watching this movie and I thought to myself, this girl is insanely talented. She has vocal chops. She has beautiful presence on camera. Everything about her performance was magical. And honestly, being a theater person myself, having performed on stage in live shows and Disney myself, I was impressed. I thought, this girl is doing an amazing job. Her career is set. This is incredible. I thought this is a great catapult to her to launch her career. Steven Spielberg, you couldn't pick any better of a director. It's Steven Spielberg we're talking about here. That is a huge up against a lot of other candidates. There are so many talented individuals out there. Unfortunately, some of them that they just don't have big careers like those that do make it. A lot of times it can take money to get there, and not everybody has that ability. So there's some financial limitations that people have in order to make it. Not everybody can afford to move to LA or New York for that matter. And she was chosen, and I'm sure very well taken care of for this role. So I can only imagine she probably had a wonderful trailer, wonderful setting, everything was set. I mean, flights, airfare, all of that was probably taken care of. And at such a young age, a lot of people would have clawed to have that opportunity. And she was handed it on a golden platter. So let's kind of go back and let's look at some footage of what Steven Spielberg had to say when casting Rachel in this role that she performed phenomenally.
The high bar was set by Rachel Zegler on the first day of casting. And I just kept looking and looking and looking, and she was the bar that no one reached. No one could reach as high as Rachel reached that first day.
I feel pretty, oh so pretty.
I cast Rachel when she was 17. She was a senior in high school when she got the part.
A committee should be organized to honor.
And I could not believe that somebody who could sing as well as that, and who looked the part of Maria.
Even listening to this right now, I get goosebumps on my arms. I know there's a term for that. If you listen to music and you get goosebumps, maybe it's just a weird thing that happens to people who are performers and vocalists themselves. I don't know. I love music. I love performing and being on stage. But listening to her voice here is so pure, and everything about her performance is so raw and real. I don't feel that any of this is forced. And a lot of what we see later seems quite forced. Here, it's totally natural and just feels incredibly flawless.
How could I be so lucky to find her on my first day of casting? Everything that Rachel sings comes from in here.
Should know better.
You know, this is just a gateway, but it really begins inside. When she began singing live on that song, I just, tears, not just me, everybody around us, tears. It was extraordinary to watch her do that.
Watching that video, I even get a little choked up myself because I can't imagine what it must have been like to have been 17 years old and to be cast in this huge role. Obviously, she had already done stage performances in school, and so it was nothing new to her. But now you're getting this musical role, West Side Story, and you're going to be on film with Steven Spielberg and other talented actors. What an amazing opportunity. So that was the rise of Rachel. And she really had a huge trajectory, a huge career ahead of her. And then unfortunately came the fall. And the fall is with Snow White, which is so sad and depressing because obviously we know Disney. Disney puts out amazing, incredible pieces. And I'll be honest with you, as a former Disney performer myself, I have very high standards when it comes to watching any sort of show on Broadway, film, television, especially if they're going to do a remake of some sort. I want them to pick somebody who can actually sing. That's the biggest thing. A lot of movies will go with somebody who's a named actor just because people know they want people to come and see it, which makes sense. However, I do think there's something to be said about picking people who can actually sing, which Steven Spielberg did in West Side Story. Now, when we dial it back to Snow White, Rachel Zegler was 20 years old when she was cast in the role of Snow White. I'm going to share a little story with you. When I was 20, I got my first contract with Disney Cruise Line where I got to perform on board the Disney Cruise Line ship. I worked on the Disney Wonder and I was friends with Cinderella and Snow White. So when I was 20 years old, I also had the opportunity to perform with Disney and do incredible shows on board the ship. It was the most amazing time in my career. At 20 years old, I knew how lucky I was to have that job. Every day I woke up, I got to perform. I performed 2 shows a night, 6 nights a week. And I got to perform with some of my favorite characters, if you will, during all of those shows. And I loved every single minute of it. And I look back at that time in my life, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have been cast. I almost walked out of my Disney audition, actually. I heard some girl singing before me. She was wailing. She had some great chops. Super belter. I'm not a belter. I'm a coloratura soprano, so more operatic classical type singing, obviously Snow White. And I stayed, and I ended up getting cast. And again, it was the most amazing time in my life, and I was so grateful. So when I hear these interviews of 20-year-old Rachel talking about Snow White the way she did, and people are saying, oh, cut her some slack. She's only 20 years old. She's so young. She doesn't know what she's doing. She just needs a little PR, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. She's young. No, I was young too. I was 20 years old as well. And I was living on my own. I was living on a ship by myself at 20 years old. And I knew how lucky I was to have the role that I did. I never thought negatively of any of the characters that I got to be friends with. And I loved every minute of it. And here she is trash talking this beautiful character in this beautiful show that, again, was handed to her on a golden platter, and she destroyed it. And unfortunately, I think she destroyed it for a lot of people who worked on that set as well. You think about if you actually stay by and watch the credits, that role in movies, there are hundreds of names on there. And the people who really only get the credit are the ones who you see in front of the camera, not behind the camera. Editors, stunt riggers, the writers, producers. There are so many people that go into this movie that are all affected. And unfortunately, I feel another person who was affected in this, who was a lead character, was Gal Gadot. She got to play this wonderful character of the Queen. I have not seen the movie, so I have nothing to say on it. I can't say if I liked it or I didn't like it. I'm only talking about what I've seen online and the controversy surrounding the movie. So I have no say on whether it was good or bad. However, Gal Gadot got to play this character of the Queen. That's something so vastly different from all of the other characters she got to play. It was a great opportunity for her to step out of her box and do something a little bit different. Again, I am not here to talk about anyone's performance. I'm here to talk about how Rachel's behavior affected those who were in the movie. And it's very unfortunate. Who knows if they had a stake in it, and people lost out because it flopped so bad because of Rachel's behavior. So let's kind of dive in and watch a few of her interviews that I think really did not help her.
Cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power. and what a woman is fit for in the world. And so when we came to reimagining the actual role of Snow White, it became about the fairest of them all, meaning who is the most just and who can become a fantastic leader. And the reality is, you know, Snow White has to learn a lot of lessons about coming into her own power before she can come into power over a kingdom.
With that video, I don't blame her for what she said, because that is clearly what she was told to say and discuss. So we can't fault her for that, but we can fault her for this next one.
Before that, your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah. Weird.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
For some reason, that interview really bothers me. Weird, weird. Look, I know it's 2025. People have different thoughts on things, consent, and all of that when it comes to the kiss. But this is a movie that was supposed to be based off this fairy tale that took place in 1937. Of course, it's going to be a different standard than it is today in the year 2025. Obviously, this movie was filmed a few years ago when she was 20 years old. So she's probably 23, 24 now, maybe 25. I don't know. But yeah, weird. No, we are basing this on the original movie. And that's what people want to see. People wanted to see that magic of what it was when they were a kid, not how we're going to reimagine it today. I really have an issue with reimagining things when we could just make something new and different. That's fine. There is space out there for new things. One of the other beautiful videos that came out with Rachel, I believe this was during 2020. I could be wrong, but I believe the controversy started 2020, 2021, when she was talking about getting paid to wear the dress.
I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
First of all, I feel terrible for her because the dress, in my personal opinion, was not good. Okay? When I was friends with Snow White, when I was 20, the dress was the most beautiful thing I have ever seen and touched in my life. Straight out of a cartoon book. Beautiful, flawless. Everything about it was stunning. And let me tell you, I loved wearing that thing. Loved it. I should say Snow White loved wearing that costume. She had a wonderful time dancing in it. It was beautiful. The little piece in the back. She loved every minute of it. And you know what? It brought joy to so many people. And just being able to perform with other princesses and princes to bring joy to people was fun. Obviously, I got paid for my time there accordingly at the time when I was 20. I don't know how I feel about this. She's getting paid. The thing is, when you have an agent, they're going to work on your behalf to work your contract out. That's between you and your agent trying to get the best, I don't want to say bang for your buck because that sounds really cheap, but how to maximize what you're doing, what you're working for, and understanding, hey, I need to make sure that I'm getting paid for all of these things that I'm doing and for any future use. So that all would have taken place before she signed the contract. And if she's asking for that after the fact, well, oops, you should have asked for that beforehand. I had a friend in the industry who was in a film, and there were certain things that they wanted, but they didn't want to pay this individual for. And they said, well, I'm not signing that. I'm not doing it. So unfortunately, they missed out on the opportunity to be on the cover, to be on the back of the DVD, to have, a doll or figurine made after them from the movie. So, it sucks because it did pretty well, and this individual missed out. But it's one of those things that just comes with, what are you signing for? You want to make sure that you're being paid adequately and that you're also thinking about your future as well, because you never know when something is going to take off and then you've lost that opportunity forever.
Every second of it.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign. I am.
I watched that interview, and I can't help but look at Gal's face because I can't tell. She's got a very good poker face. I can't tell if she's into it, not into it, because at this point, I think Rachel has already done some damage, and I'm sure they're all seeing the hate talk online of people not wanting to see the movie, and maybe she was already affected at this point. Sometimes you have to play nice with your coworkers, even if you don't like them, especially if you're on the red carpet, because everybody's picking it apart. Here I am watching the video going, what is Gal thinking? I try to be fair and try to be an optimist and see both sides of the story and the situation. Again, Rachel is saying what she's told to say, and Gal is holding her composure together. It's hard to tell if they did have a tiff with one another. I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. Maybe the internet is just making up things and speculating incorrectly.
Video is going to get taken out of context, and I know that at this point I can't really stop people from doing that because that's what my whole existence on the internet is just me being taken out of context and stuff, which is fine. That's what I signed up for, isn't it? But I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have when I say that this has been the biggest adjustment of my life, like understanding the way my life operates now, being who I am, and the things that I've been so fortunate to make. It comes with so much ground that I never thought I would be able to cover, and that people think I'm doing poorly, and other people think I'm doing gracefully, and I don't think I'm doing it at all. So when I tell you that it's hard, I just mean to be inside my brain. That's hard. And I'm there 24/7. I can't get out of it. And I don't know if that will make sense, but that's where I'm at. I'm so grateful for the things that I'm able to do. And a lot of what I'm able to do is because of you guys. And I'm so unbelievably thankful for that. At the end of the day, I look at this trip and think, if somewhere like that can exist, and so can my tiny pink bedroom from New Jersey, I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats. And maybe that's a weird takeaway for this video. This is a life. This is real. It's filled with a lot of beautiful moments and beautiful people. I have a loving family, an incredible boyfriend that I love so much, beautiful friends and family, people that I miss. It's a privilege to miss people the way that I do, but it's hard. And it's lonely. It's very lonely. I just know that if that loneliness can exist, so can other things, and I will be okay. Maybe that's a weird takeaway. Regardless, this is not supposed to be anything other than insightful entertainment. It's what I do best.
Watching that, I don't know if I believe her or don't. I don't have an answer for you on that. Unfortunately, I think for actors, if they are crying in a video and emotions come up and the tears start to flow, if it is real, nobody wants to believe them because they're an actor. If they're not real, again, nobody wants to believe them because they're an actor. So it's kind of like a no-win situation. I'm not trying to defend her or say she's telling the truth or say she's lying. It's one of those things where, unfortunately, I don't think she's going to win. She was given fame at a very young age, and I'm sure that's probably really hard for some people to handle, especially if you're not equipped to do so. And it happening so quickly for her, I'm sure it was a challenge, and you don't know what to do. The cameras are on you all the time. People are probably following her. The death threats aren't okay. People need to kind of move on with their life and not say those things, because really that's not okay. If you don't like it, just scroll along and don't watch her, right? If you're not a fan, just scroll along. There's no need to send threats like that. It's not okay. Do I think that getting messages and people telling you they don't like your stuff comes with the territory? Unfortunately, yes, when you're an actor and you put yourself out there in the public eye, you are open to scrutiny. Not that it makes it okay, but it's going to happen, and I think you need to prepare yourself for that. If you are going to go into the industry, people are going to love you, people are going to hate you. They're going to bring you up, and they're going to pull you right back down. And they're going to bring you up again, and they're going to pull you right back down. Unfortunately, it just happens in the industry, and it is the way it is. Doesn't make it okay, but it happens. So, to finish things off, do I think that she sabotaged her own career? Not on purpose, of course. I think she realizes that she made some mistakes. She said some things she shouldn't have. And this is a huge learning lesson for her. Do I think that she can recover and come back from this? Maybe. Unfortunately, I think she's going to have to give it a lot of time, though, before she comes back. I think she's really going to have to sit with this for a while because of all of the people she affected and the way the internet just rose up against her. And obviously, she has a fan base of those who love her and support her, and that's great. I'm happy she has that. Do I think she made some mistakes along the way? I do. She made quite a few mistakes along the way. Do I think she's talented? Absolutely. The girl has got some amazing killer pipes. If you haven't seen West Side Story, I would say watch it. She's incredible, raw, young talent, just stunning in that film. And it's too bad she couldn't carry that over into Snow White and just kind of keep that peace during that interview process. Unfortunately, that's where things went awry for her. If you are interested in supporting Rachel's career and seeing what she is doing next, she is playing Evita in London, which is an incredible opportunity for her. And I hope she uses this time to just kind of reflect. I'm excited for her. There's nothing like performing in a live show. It's such an incredible feeling for artists when you're getting that gratification from the audience, reacting and clapping and oohing and awing at your performance right in front of you as you're performing for them. So this is going to be another amazing experience for her in London. If you do want to see it, it looks like it starts June 14th. I'll put a link down below where you can find tickets if you want to go and support her. If you are living in London, or hey, if you want to take a trip across the sea. I wish her nothing but the best. Break legs, Rachel. I hope you have an amazing opportunity on stage as Evita. An incredible show, incredible music. Again, I wish you nothing but the best. And everyone has a learning experience somewhere in their life. Unfortunately, hers was public. I believe that there is a possibility for a second chance, and second chances should be earned. And hopefully this will be her route there. But until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Keep sparking it up, risers, and let me know what you'd like to see next. Bye, YouTube.